Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in this world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayers Live, page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. So today we're going to go into the first book of Samuel, chapter 25, which covers the death of Samuel, and also it gets into details about David, Nabal, and Abigail. So I hope everyone is having a good morning. I woke up early today. I woke up at around 6, did some stretching. It is cold where I am, but I left the heat on a little bit too long, so it's stuffy in this room where I am. But I did a little stretching. I'm back in bed under the covers because it's cold. I have a nice toasty sweater I will put on after I do this reading, but overall I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. Had a good weekend, very restful weekend. What else? Always, here's my advice for those listening for the right reasons. Always set boundaries in your life. There's going to be people that you cross paths with within your family, that you may work with, or that you may just meet socially. A lot of times, people in those groups will not want to acknowledge or respect your boundaries, but you have to make people acknowledge your boundaries. And when they don't, punch them in the face. Metaphorically. Sometimes you might actually have to. I don't really know. But what I do know is that everyone deserves to feel secure and to feel as though they're being respected in life. So setting the right boundaries for yourself is important. So anyway, let's get started. Death of Samuel. Now Samuel died, and all the Israelites gathered together and mourned him, and they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. David, Nabal, and Abigail. Now there was a man in Maon whose, let me start that over because that was kind of an odd string of words there. Now there was a man in Maon whose work was in Carmel. He was a rich man with 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. The man's name was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. She was a woman of good understanding and beautiful, but the man was harsh and evil in his actions, and he was a Calebite. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep. So David sent out 10 young men, and David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus you shall say to him who lives in prosperity, Peace be to you, and peace be to your house, and to all that you have, peace. I have heard that you have shearers. Now your shepherds were with us. We did not harm them, nor did they miss anything all the days they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will help you. And they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we have come on a good day. Please give whatever you find at hand to your servants and to your son David." When David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal, according to all these words in the name of David. Then they waited. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, "Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? Today many servants are breaking away, each one from his master. Should I then take my bread and my water and my meat, that which I have killed for my shearers, and give it to men whose origins are unknown?" So this guy, he didn't know much about David, or at least that's what he's saying. So David's young men turned themselves around and went back. And they came and reported to him all these words. David said to his men, "Each man strap on his sword," and each man strapped on his sword. David also put on his sword, and 400 men went up after David, but 200 stayed with the baggage. Now one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, "Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to bless our master, and he railed against them, but the men were very good to us, and we were not harmed, nor did we miss anything. All these days we went about with them in the field. They were a wall to us, both by day and night. All these days we were with them, keeping the flocks. Now therefore, know and consider what you will do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household. He is such a worthless man that he cannot speak to him." Then Abigail hurried and took 200 loaves, 2 bottles of wine, 5 prepared sheep, 5 measures of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and she loaded them on donkeys. Well, I have to pause here. I'm sorry, Abigail, but 2 bottles of wine is not enough. I'm sorry. Everything else sounds delicious that she packed. This is what I'm talking about the Bible making me hungry and the Bible having a lot of really good ideas for food. But only 2 bottles of wine if you're going to have 200 loaves? You need at least 20 bottles of wine, Abigail. I'm sorry. And she said to her servants, "Go on before me. Behold, I will be coming after you." But she did not tell her husband, Nabal. And as she was riding on the donkey and going down into the cover of the mountain, behold, David and his men were coming down to meet her, and she met them. Now David had said, "Surely in vain I have guarded all that this man has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that belonged to him, and he has returned me evil for good. So may God do unto the enemies of David, and more also, if by morning I leave even one male of all who belong to him." When Abigail saw David, she hurriedly got down from the donkey and fell before David upon her face. And she bowed herself to the ground. So she fell at his feet and said, "Against me alone, my lord, is the guilt. Please, let your handmaid speak in your ears, and hear the words of your handmaid. Please do not let my lord set his heart against this worthless man, against Nabal. For as his name is, so is he." Oh, are you really? You're named after David? Or are you named after Nabal? For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your handmaid, did not see the young men of my lord whom you sent. Okay, well, I'm glad, David, because I was going to say, I don't think you want to be named after Nabal. There's a lot of people named David. There's a lot of meaning behind the name David. All right, where are we? Now, my lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, because the Lord has restrained you from coming in bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hand. Now let your enemies and those seeking to do evil to my Lord be as Nabal. Now let this blessing which your maidservant has brought to my Lord be given to the young men who follow my Lord. Please forgive the transgression of your handmaid, For the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fights the battles of the Lord, and evil will not be found in you all your days. Even if a man rises to pursue you and to seek your life, the life of my Lord will be bound in the bundle of the living with the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will sling out, as from the hollow of a sling. It will be when the Lord does for my Lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you and has appointed you ruler over Israel, that this will be no grief to you, nor an offense of heart to my Lord, either that you have shed blood without cause, or that my Lord has avenged himself. But when the Lord has dealt well with my Lord, then remember your handmaid. David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord, God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessing is your discretion. And blessed are you who have kept me this day from coming to shed blood, from avenging myself with my own hand. For the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has restrained me from injuring you. If you had not hurried to come and meet me, surely there would have been left even there not sorry to meet me, surely there would not have been left even one male to Nabal by the morning light. So David received from her hand what she had brought him and said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have obeyed your voice and have granted your request. Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he was feasting in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Therefore, so maybe that's why she left all that wine behind, just to make sure that Nabal would stay drunk. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Therefore, she told him nothing until the morning light. But in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these things, and his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. So he was mad. And about 10 days after that, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. I shouldn't laugh at that, but Nabal, I don't think that Abigail was happy with Nabal. So that didn't work out. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed is the Lord who has defended the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal and has kept his servant from evil. So David keeps getting W's. Things are working out for David. He doesn't have to deal with Nabal. Nabal died. God didn't want him around. Abigail doesn't have to deal with Nabal anymore. It's all for the best. For the Lord has returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and spoke with Abigail to take her as his wife. I knew he was going to do that. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew Abigail liked David because everyone likes David. Remember, David killed Goliath. He was the rock star of his time. Yeah, it is funny with the translation. It's a little hard to read. The words are set in a little bit of an odd pattern, but I'm really enjoying the story of David Scumay. I really am. It's his story is very action packed. All right, so David hooked up with Abigail, their husband and wife now, knew that was coming. Okay. And David sent and spoke with Abigail to take her as his wife. When the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, David has sent us to you to take you as his wife. She arose and bowed herself on her face to the ground and said, Behold, your handmaid is a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. Abigail hurriedly arose and rode on a donkey with her 5 young women who attended her. So she's got her girls with her. And she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. She good for Abigail, because she was with the mean guy before, and she's like the prettiest girl in the land, so she had to stick with him. But then David comes and rescues her, basically. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, so both of them were his wives. Oh, he has another wife too. He has two now. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Paltiel, the son of Laish, who was from Galim. Yeah, David was the underdog, but he was the rock star. Yep. And I'm glad your name is David Scummy, because that's going to give you strength throughout your recovery. So that's it when it comes to the chapter 25 of the first book of Samuel. Tomorrow we will go into chapter 26, which goes into David again having to spare Saul's life. It sounds like Saul's after David again. So we'll read about that another time. Everyone have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.